So we've been through episode 4 of X-Men 97, and we finally got to see the Goblin Queen, and she did not disappoint. Does the figure? So to put it out there, so far I love X-Men 97. Like, I love it. It is fantastic. I'm very forgiving about certain content. I've heard people complain here and there about it. I don't have complaints. Guys, I watched X-Men. I watched it growing up. I watched the Spider-Man cartoon that went alongside it, basically. Both these things were absolute must-see of my childhood. I remember we used to have a group of friends that would get together at 9 a.m. That was our meetup time. We had a couple of houses that were fairly close together, you know, the neighborhood kids. We would all meet in about the middle, one of my buddy's house. He was specifically my neighbor. We would go over there, he had a picnic table, and we would lay our toys out. Like, we'd all bring our toys. I remember that. Some kids would come over with like their bike, and it was like me, my neighbor, the kid that lived down the street, another kid that lived down the street, and then a kid that lived a little further than us, like a good deal further than us. He was like all the way down like 2-3 blocks away. They would ride their bikes over with their backpacks, have their toys in their backpacks. We'd go over, we'd dump them onto the picnic table, we'd get a big thing, we'd pick our guys, and we'd set up storylines and whatnot. We'd have like superhero battles, we'd have war, we'd have G.I. Joe fights, or whatever we were going to do for the day. And then, on the station that I was watching, Spider-Man started coming on at 9 o'clock. And I was like, I'm not going to be there at 9. Watching Spider-Man. Then they started putting X-Men and Spider-Man back to back. Dune, watch both of them. The hour-long Marvel block. And I was like, that's what I'm doing. So I started meeting up at about 10. Because I would wake up, get my stuff together, go downstairs, get a Pop-Tart or a bowl of cereal or whatever, and then, you know, I'd eat, I'd take a bath, I'd go upstairs, and not upstairs, I didn't move upstairs until after those shows were over, so my bedroom was still on the main level. And then I'd go in there and watch those 2 shows, then I'd take some of my toys outside and go play. Having X-Men 97 back is crazy, and I have loved every single episode. It's like being a kid again. I come home on Wednesdays, I sit down, I turn the computer on, I go to Disney Plus, I turn the sucker as high up as I could basically deal with. It very much depends on how loud my wife is willing to have the TV, because she'll sometimes be like, this is loud, and I'm completely different. I'll crank that TV all the way up to the max speakers. I listen to the entire theme song, take myself all the way back to 10 years old, and then I watch an episode of X-Men. I have loved it. Every episode has given me something that I like. And when I knew that we were moving the Madeline Pryor angle, I knew the Goblin Queen was on the way. I mean, heck, I'd already bought the action figure, so it's not like I didn't necessarily know she was coming. But I knew, and then it happened. And I'll admit, I feel like we were a little rushed, but when you only have 10 episodes, you got to do what you can do. So they get us to the Goblin Queen, and we have an absolute amazing showdown. And I loved it. Is the figure as good as I hope it is? I don't know. That's what we're here for. So here we are, Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Decent case. I like these cards. I really love retro card back. This is kind of how I grew up. It's kind of my favorite type of box. I think it works absolutely perfectly for inbox collectors. You could see the entire figure, you know exactly what you bought, and if you're going to open it, you just cut down here, open it up, and you got them. I love it. I also love that in most of these retro card backs, you don't see a bunch of those plastic tabs everywhere, so I know that once I get her out of here, she's just going to come right out of there. Going back to the cross-sell, because this is the important part. Magneto, I don't got him, and I'm skipping him. I don't need WWF Magneto. I have zero interest in him whatsoever. Cyclops, I don't have him, but I want him. Nightcrawler, I don't have him, but I want him. Goblin Queen, I have her. She's right here. Executioner, I'm on the fence. Almost like sleeping on a character. I don't necessarily love him, but he was pretty cool in the series. But as of now, unless I see him in person and the figure really blows me away, I'm not getting him. Jean Grey, however. Can I bring something up here that I did not see coming? Back when I talked about Jean Grey, I said, oh, and we got 2 head sculpts for Jean Grey. Seeing episode 4. Wow. I realize now that the toy, that wasn't what I thought it was. That is brilliant. The toy did not give it away, but all the information was right there. The 2 head sculpts is not so that we have a long hair Jean and a ponytail Jean. It's so that we have a Madeline Pryor and a Jean Grey. Absolutely brilliant. Unbelievably brilliant. That is insane how well that was done. Let's open her up. So here she is, Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. And right off the bat, I do have a bit of an issue. Not a big one, but I do have it. It could be the cape. The cape is a solid material. It's not a, I mean, it is flexible, but it's solid is what I'm saying. It's not soft goods. So that adds a lot of her weight to her back. And of course, they gave her these high heels. Now she wears them, so we could argue that's what we want, is for her to have the high heels. But it does mean that I had to break out my little circle stands to give her an actual area to stand. Now, some people are going to argue, oh, well, I got mine to stand just fine. I got it to stand, I don't know what the problem is. Well, good for you. For me, when they give them the heels, I both praise the idea and I'm irritated by it, because it makes her very tough to stand, just like the White Queen. And maybe it would help if the cape wasn't pulling a whole lot of weight that way, but it is. And since it is, I buy these little stands. These stands help me. As you can see, she's standing up and I'm not having any kind of real trouble with her. See? She's fine. That's fine. If I have to do that, but it still keeps the integrity of the character and gives her the heels, I'm actually fine with it. And she would probably look really cool on a flying stand anyway, so I'm not mad about it at all. I'm really not. She does come with 2 extra punchy hands, and she comes with these green magic power effects, which are pretty cool. I wrapped one around her hand so you could actually see how that looks. And she comes with Baby Nathan. Baby Nathan is just a slug. He, I guess for anybody that's come to this video that's new to collecting, a slug is basically, this is just a solid plastic piece. It has 0 articulation. It's an accessory for the figure. That's, if I'm not giving you false information, a lot of times I hear people refer to these as slugs, and that's what I've referred to them as forever. Such as the Tigra that's on its way out very soon that will come with the Panther. The Panther will be a slug. It's a non-articulated Panther. It's a single piece. Things that I can say about this, there are some things that I really like about this. One, you could easily take this, repaint it, and customize it for a Black Queen, and it would be spot on perfect. I honestly believe very little work you would have to do. Maybe you'd put like a paint line right here and take that all up, so that's the shoulders. You'd paint this part in skin instead of like kind of a nylon, and you'd leave the boots, and you'd pretty much have her. You'd fix the skin tone, Black Queen, right there. That's kind of really cool. And it also leads to the idea that maybe later on down the road, they could just simply do that themselves and we would have a really solid Black Queen on the market animated-wise that we could buy. That's really cool. I did this so you can see that she has the double joint elbow that goes really well. She also has the knee. She can almost kick her own butt. It's very, very, very close. She can't do it, but barely. She's barely stopped from doing it. And speaking of the butt, not that we'll ever see it, but holy crap, these animated characters were given the butt. They have the butt. There was, they weren't messing around about that. I like these hands. We've seen them on 1,000 characters, to be fair. If I had to argue something, in all honesty, I would say that I wish, and this is going to sound one way or another, and you can look at it however you'd like to look at it, but in all honesty, I almost wish her bust was a little bit bigger. Not that it's off-putting, she does look right to me, but I imagine, and maybe it's a comic book thing, I don't know 100%, maybe even in the series a little bit, I felt like she had a little bit bigger of a chest, but in the end, I don't think it really matters. I really don't. I think the only reason I really bring it up is because not way too long ago, we actually covered Rogue, and we also covered Power Princess, and their body types seem right to me. But maybe the idea here was that her body type is definitely different from Rogue, and if they were already using that body cap with Rogue, they decided to use this body cap with Madeline Pryor and Jean, and in comparison, compared to everybody else not standing alone, this is probably very right. So that's what I said. It's like this minor little complaint that I feel like my eyes believe that her dimension is a little bit different. She has a slightly different body type, but in the long run, I really don't think it matters, and it's probably very accurate when you put them all together. And then there's always the possibility that this outfit makes her look a little different, and when I get Jean Grey, I'll look at Jean Grey and be like, okay, that seems more spot on. Because, of course, with a corset and everything, it's going to pull everything really tight and everything, and it's going to change certain dimensions. The face is amazing. In fact, this face would be absolutely fantastic as a repurposed Lady Death. Wouldn't she? Wouldn't that be perfect? Could you not use that as an absolute spot-on start for Lady Death? Color the eyes white and do this hair in white and keep the skin tone and then repurpose this head onto a different body. And if you were a customizer, this right here, this would be perfect as a point to buy to get a couple of pieces that would work absolutely fantastic for Lady Death. I'm serious about that. I don't think you could do better in terms of just buying something that needs very little work. Like, it's almost 100% there already anyway. I love her. I really do. I love her. I think this is fantastic. As part of my afterthoughts and hopes for what this character can bring down the line, I would love to see them reuse some of this asset and make us a white queen and a black queen. I would love to see an animated version Jean Grey Black Queen. I would love that. I would think it would be absolutely fantastic. I think it fit well in the X-Men 97 line, and it's something that we saw in the X-Men animated series anyway, so we're ripe for that kind of thing. I also believe that it would be absolutely amazing to get the White Queen in this animated style as well, because in my opinion, we have not had a solid White Queen figure easily accessible. That's a key point, because you could have bought that Hellfire Club pack, but if you didn't, and you don't want to spend, like, what is it now? I think I've seen it listed for like a literal $500 in some places. That's not for me. And I imagine it's not for most casual collectors. Now, I wouldn't consider myself a casual collector, I guess. I think that would be fair to say. I wouldn't consider myself a casual collector. I understand that. I'm very much understanding at this point that I have exceeded the realm of casual collecting. I don't have like a single 1 or 2 shelves or a single bookshelf. I have all of this, plus some stuff in my bedroom, plus some stuff down in my living room, plus a garage that's slowly filling up over time. I have moved beyond casual collecting. I also sell parts of the collection at wide at different events and things like that. So, like, at this point, I understand. And even I'm sitting here telling you $500 is an awful lot to try to get your hands on the White Queen. So we need a more accessible Marvel Legends White Queen on the market, and we don't have it yet. So that would be nice. I would love to see that come into play. But for what it's worth, right now, those are future thoughts. On the present, she's awesome. I love her. She will go absolutely wonderful on the shelf with the other animated X-Men. Literally no complaints here. She's great. I don't know that I really have much of a purpose for baby Nathan. But he's done well. Maybe I'll use him for some photography stuff here and there. A small update on that. You'll notice that for a while I was posting and talking about action figure photography, and if you were following my Instagram, I was posting action figure photography stuff. That's not done. I still very much plan to get back to it, but for right now I've been focusing pretty hard on filming episodes, getting content out, working on my other channel, trying to get my full-time job under control, manage money, do funds, and things of that nature. And also, of course, I'm splitting all of that with family time. I'm trying to spend time with my dad, trying to spend time with my wife, trying to spend time with my kid, trying to spend time with my grandmother, things of that nature. And this takes up time. But I do have some real ideas for some more action figure photography, so I think you can look forward to me doing a couple things. And I have an honest question about that. If I do start employing more action figure photography, would there be any interest for me to come on here and talk about it from time to time? Maybe do videos about recent sets. If I do like a 10-picture set or even a single picture set, would it be interesting for me to come in and talk about what I did? Simple photography, nothing super extreme, things that you could do, things that I do, and just different things like that. I think it'd be interesting to talk about some shots. Then again, that's not necessarily what this channel is. Either way, happy to have her. Getting out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will.